Ladies and gentlemen, another cast fueled by myself and Neblime. What's going on, dude?
What are we burning for fuel around here, man? What do you burn that fuels the Cosmonarchy engine?
Polish powerhouse, I think. That's how I would
What the hell
describe
is that?
V7, the Polish
Oh,
powerhouse, you know?
fair enough. I thought that was like some kind of energy drink or
No,
something.
it should be, if it's not already. Today we're going to be looking at a match between GreenEggs'NSpam and SmrtyCakes. We saw Green Eggs recently on the channel. I casted a match between himself and 3 Crow that you may have caught Neblime, but it was pretty recent, so I know sometimes you catch up on the videos all at once. The match was on Derelict, and it was a bio-fueled rampage. So
I would expect nothing less from Green Eggs, right? I was going to ask. He's got up to his tricks, right? I have not watched it. It's daily uploads, man, not daily watches. I catch up when I can.
Yeah, no, hey.
This is how I get ahead. If I already casted it,
then you can skip it, yeah. Well, then we lose that one view that we need to get into the algorithm, Neblime. You got to put it on in the background. You know how it is.
I alone am holding this together.
Let's see what happens in this match on Axiom. It's funny because we've talked a little bit about this, but I feel like Axiom is picking up steam again, even though it's a situation where you'd think that people would be moving on to Maxium or just some other map in general, but no.
Well, it is the best map yet made in Cosmonarchy.
That is what you allege, but let's see.
No, it's what I know.
See what ends up happening.
I'm told to you by a prophet such as myself, the prophet of Biddy B.
The prophet of Biddy B. We do have none other than GreenEggs'NSpam in the bottom left here. I already know this. He is the Dark Spring Green Terran. You'd never guess that color, but I made the mistake of trying to guess it earlier, and that must be what he's got his color preference set to, because it's 2 games in a row. SmrtyCakes, on the other hand, dude, I don't even know about this color, man. He's in the top right as the Protoss player. Is this T green?
I spoiled myself, so I can't partake in the guesses. Yeah.
You know, there's like a color that could be white, could be T green, or could be Alice blue, and it's just like, that's so tough to actually guess. But anyway, 50% ain't bad. I mean, it is bad. It's a failing grade, but we'll pretend it's good.
No, 50% exactly is a passing grade, isn't it?
No, that's 60%, at least in America.
Oh, in Australia, it's a passing grade, I guess.
Explains a lot of things.
Wow. So tell me, is this a best of 1 that we're casting here?
Yes, indeed. Only a single game.
Ooh. You blocked him. No, he gets him. So, like you mentioned, Green Eggs, he's definitely going to go by, man. He's already got that stockade down.
Yep.
He's only mining gas 1. I think he's probably going to go Quarry, but it's going to be all buy all the time, and honestly, that automatically makes him the hero of this story, right? In fact, look at that. It's a rogues gallery. He's making the filthy cloaked units. Can our hero Green Eggs possibly withstand this? I'm already just siding with Green Eggs 100%, dude.
Well, yeah, I think what Smarty might be trying to do here is a Kabbalist rush of some kind. I haven't seen other Protoss players try this out. Smarty is, Green Eggs and Smarty are kind of both in that low to mid table. I would say, especially with the influx of brand new players, Green Eggs has probably actually shot up to the middle, and SmrtyCakes as well, if he can keep his practice schedule going. But they've been around for a lot longer, so they kind of know the ins and outs of the game to some degree, at least in terms of the unit roster. And then they might be able to knowledge check the newcomers. But in this case, I don't know that either one of these players can actually be knowledge checked. They've just been around for too long, and it's going to be a Lattice backup. Now Green Eggs actually scouting and realizing that's a rogue gallery and not just a gateway, so interesting stuff. It's actually going to be a Vagrant first, but that does raise your eyebrows as a Terran player, right? You're thinking, oh my god, there's Kabbalists. And
Myriad Myriad Colors also is here, and he's
spectating.
Confused too. Yeah. I'm amazed he went for a Vestry so fast, by the way. He's getting a Shaman, not even a Cleric. This is kind of crazy, but we'll get to that. Look, I don't know about making the Vagrant first, because it's a good unit, but it's not super cost efficient, and in the early game, like, you're not going to get that many of them out, so
you want them as fodder, wouldn't you say, like for a Dracket in backline or something like that? You kind of want them to...
Yeah, because they're relatively short range. Yeah, they do well, and there's other units around, right? Like, if one unit is like a support unit, what's the opposite of a support unit? I guess you call it a front line, but that's also a bit misleading. They kind of just are the meat of compositions, right? They're not really technical units. So I'm not really a fan of getting a few of them in the early game. He's getting manifolds with them. They'll do fine against this, Maverick Huracan for now. But I just wonder if he got for like an Ecclesiast. I guess that's why he went for the Shaman so fast, actually. So pretty smart on Green Eggs
for detection. Yeah, he's deployed it immediately, so he wants to be cognizant of the Kabbalist risk, I think, is the main thing.
Yeah. I mean, he scouted the Rogues Gallery before he started it, right? So I think that's why he did it, and he probably would have just made Clerics. But now he's pretty well secure. But still, if you make just one Kabbalist, you can at least like keep him in his base and keep an eye on things. Where I feel like you could have probably been better off just going for a gateway, just getting basic units, right? But hey, going later into the game, having the Rogues Gallery is going to be a good thing. He could potentially get Bardcast with Vassal, and I saw it was Latticed. I wondered if he was going to go straight into that, but no. Just ground pounding for now.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's got the embassy as the backup plan, so he'll be able to keep in league with the worker count of his opponent. The quarry already finished for Green Eggs. And one of the things I'm always interested in is how Protoss players in particular are responding to the quarry add-on being so in vogue lately, right? Because it does give you this nice economic boost. You get that extra worker production queue. What do you do in reaction to that? Some Protosses like to just drop embassy, double embassy sometimes. Yourself and Hamster both were doing that at various stages of playing Protoss, and not in ancient history either, talking about like weeks to a month ago. And then you factor in the idea that you also have, hit him up who just wants to smash him, Hapsea who also just kind of wanted to smash him before the quarries could really activate. And yeah, it's interesting to imagine what exactly SmrtyCakes is going to be doing to try to take back the lead. He is going to go for that witness early, and the workers are queued up behind it.
Yeah, I think there's definitely merit to going like an embassy before expansion, but as you can see, he's going to saturate fairly quickly. I think where embassies are really going to kick in a lot is from like 2 base to 3. Getting double O sneak is really good, and obviously later on as well, just having had more workers hold time is pretty good. Now, Covenant's coming up. He has to be careful that this witness doesn't fly over the deployed shaman. That would be very unfortunate.
Yes.
I think in general, if Terran gets the quarry right away, but they don't expand right away as well, you're fine. Because as you can see, he's still keeping up, because you've got to consider the delay when it was building. In fact, he's not even using it right now, which doesn't help either. But you're not going to be too far behind. The problem is, if Terran gets a quarry and expands right away, you are so behind, you have to do something. Because really, there's no comparison to the embassy. Like, it's just going to take too long to get that. Because it costs a little bit more, and Protoss usually has to spend quite a bit on like early game units to not die. Now, Bio, of course, changes the maths a bit. This witness is really not going in there. I guess he's a witness, not a participant. Oh no, here he goes.
Oh yeah, I think it's been spotted too. Yeah, it definitely was still within range for a while. One of those shamans will go ahead and uproot itself.
He made it out.
It has made it out. It has made it out. He gets a scout on that
no,
ministry.
Go back here. What are you doing?
Oh,
no, you have so much to live for.
Okay. It's just barely alive.
That was ballsy.
Stim too. I do like the stim. I mean, it's totally inconsequential. The shaman just heals him up immediately. One thing that we didn't comment on, Green Eggs actually stimmed a Maverick across the map and got right into melee range to aggro SmrtyCakes' scribe that was going to be putting this Nexus down a lot sooner, and was able to shoot it to death. So that's a little trick that I like, is walking into melee range if your opponent isn't on the ball and they don't move the worker away, which, especially in the middle of an actual, like we're thinking about, like this is kind of a throw for Smarty to not have be on top of that per se, but against like an upper tier player, you might still catch them off guard that way in the middle of the, say like they're trying to take their third as Zerg or something like that. You might be able to run in there in the middle of some other attack or some other, harrying move, and then just abuse the fact that you're kind of overloading their mental stack. I remember Lundier writing that recently. So it's like it's definitely something where you can do that, and then they won't flee if they're in melee range, right? You see the scribe over here fleeing. If the Maverick was in melee range, it would kind of aggro the worker, and then it wouldn't actually be running away during the attack. So it's a little neat trick you can do if you want your enemy to lose their worker 100% of the time. And I will say,
something very impactful if there's like an idle transport or something running to the other side of it to push it back towards your own forces. That kind of thing is definitely very important.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think in general, one of the things I'm noticing for Green Eggs is that he's actually pretty good at being out on the map with these Mavericks. It's kind of an unsung quality of Bio that, since we don't see it that often, that you can, sort of like how you played Zerg in the last tournament, Neblime, you can kind of just throw a couple of these random units in different locations. You keep tabs on the army, like what that Brave Soul just did. You obviously keep tabs on all these expansions, making sure that they're not putting down a third faster than you want them to, or if they are, about it. There's all these sorts of things that I think really end up helping out quite a bit for information gathering, and the composition is starting to take shape here.
Well, we had seen around the time of the last Acropolis, Green Eggs was playing pretty well, and this is just what saddens me, because I feel like he has a lot of potential, but around that time he kind of didn't play for a bit, and I was kind of urging him on, like, you've got to carry the Bio flag. So it's good to see him back. I think he has a lot of potential, and like you were saying before, I would say he's like, at the top of like class 2, actually. I don't know which class 2s we've got floating around, but I'd say he'd probably be the best one. I mean, I don't know. Who else comes to mind?
Well, it would be like Biddy B, 3 Crow, some of the...
I'm not going to lie, he beats both of them.
Benno's one of them.
That'd be a good match. I'd want to see that match.
Okay, exposition match. Green Eggs versus Benno, BO5. Let's see if we can set that up.
It. Yeah, that'd be sick. I'll sponsor it.
There you go. When it gets $20 or something, you never know.
Yeah.
Little spawn matches. Yeah, stuff like that could be interesting. And Benno hasn't played 1v1s in a little bit now, but he's been playing some of the team games. He missed the last Fraudarchy because he was busy watching football.
What kind of game is that? Like, how do I install that?
Yeah, exactly. I decided to use the Eurocentric term, but
oh, so you weren't even talking about American football?
No, yeah, I was talking about football.
See, in a country like Australia, it's like a point of contention whether you call it football or soccer. There's no
really?
Accepted thing.
Okay.
You can be attacked for either one.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. I like that your country is equal parts like American influenced and UK influenced. That's what it seems.
If you want my take, I think it's much more American influenced.
Interesting.
That's what I think. But hey, we're supposed to talk about Cosmonarchy here, right? This is the bravest little maverick and also the deadest.
Yeah, indeed.
Getting in there.
For sure. Well, the Atlas is already on the way here for Green Eggs, so he's sitting pretty in terms of the tech timing. He's choosing that over a third base, which is kind of important here.
Oh, the second bravest maverick.
Not to be outdone, charges forward and dies before the
See, if they just move commanded in to get vision, I wouldn't give them any bravery. I'd be like, I guess they were ordered to do it. But the fact they run up and start shooting is like, damn, okay. I love that Green Eggs has this sort of vision contained here, so you can see what's coming out. Of course, Witness is going to sneak through, but it's good that he knows if his opponent's getting on the map. And these Cantors are absolutely deadly to both Hurricanes and Mavericks, but there's no transportation for them. So there's no real threat of attack. Oh god, this ant seal. Oh,
check out this magic trick, dude. Right. Splash doesn't go straight through. Hell yeah.
Dude, why? How the hell am I supposed to kill them now?
Yeah, well, that is a point of contention that I'm going to have to rebalance later. So
why? So I assume you changed that not because there was balance consideration, just because it was always meant to work that way?
Yeah, it's just a bug, right? And it's also not very interesting where Splash is still very impactful because you're splashing multiple ant seals, right? But it's not going to go straight through them, which I think was always a little bit unnecessary.
Well, have we learned nothing from Brood War though? Sometimes the bugs are integral to the balance.
That's true. We're just trying.
Getting 10 ant seals in one place was already pretty strong in my opinion. But hey, we'll see. So tier 2's done here. Sentinels would complement this quite nicely because he doesn't have much range with the composition he's got right now. I think he could take a third and set that up pretty well. But I suppose the Architects would actually be a severe threat to that. Sentinels don't have 10 range anymore, do they?
I think they do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure their range hasn't changed.
Oh, okay. Still though, with a Witness, you could destroy those Architects.
For sure.
But still, I still think he should make them, to be clear. But hey, he's making the captaincies. That was always going to happen. 4 captaincies coming up. Madcaps are always a very devastating unit.
And you know what? It's too bad you haven't seen that match versus 3 Crow, but let me just say there's a very big Apostle moment in that, and I'll let you know if I see something that looks like it in this game. But there's definitely Apostles are pretty solid, dude. They
like a new technique being discovered, or just Apostles being really good.
It was like a positioning thing. Basically, it was there's this point where 3 Crow commits forces to try to kill them, and they. Due to their positioning in the fight, it's a technique that normally would work really nicely for the Protoss, ends up backfiring. Is all I'll say.
I see.
So it's it is something that you can you got to kind of watch out for. There's a lot of rogue galleries being made here by Smarty. So
I have an inkling of what you might be saying, and now I have to go watch it to find out.
There it is. Yeah, let us.
Looks like SmrtyCakes was going to double expand, but he changes his mind after being detected over at the 12. I really think he should be double expanding.
He hasn't taken the 3rd at all yet, right? So it's a little concerning there.
I mean, he's thinking about it, right? Yes. Where does money go? He's making so many Vagrants. I mean, look, I like Vagrants as much as the next guy, but you do need to make a Nexus at some point.
Yes, correct. Vagrants will not harvest the resources for you.
Why not, though? They're the Protoss convicts. Why can't you order them to do that?
Because that's a job that's very honorable and respected.
Oh. But why they make robots do it, then?
Robots are also very honorable. That's not true. Okay. Not true at all in Protoss society, but
the most honorable structure is the Arden Authority. Little do we know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the venerated robots or automata are all the ones that are out of the embassy, and then the ones that as you get progressively down the line of the actual robotics military tree, it's more and more and more disgusting, culminating in, of course, the Demiurge and the Empress.
Yeah.
So. You know how it goes.
Well, hopefully SmrtyCakes maintains his honor and doesn't make any demiurges today.
Well, I don't know. He's making Vagrants already, so does he have any honor left? I'd say so.
Well, no, that's fine because you're sending them out to serve their sentence, aren't you? So
yes, that's true.
That's fine.
That's true.
Just like the Mavericks over here.
Yes, yeah. It's a egalitarian society here between Terran and Protoss. That's what we're seeing. Is a lot of similarities.
Are Madcaps just regular soldiers, or are they also convicts?
No, the Madcaps are the guys who you send to round up convicts to turn them into Mavericks in the first place. So.
Oh, that's why they're needed here, to keep an eye on.
Yes, they're the peacekeeper type units, That put down the riots. Yeah.
The guy that shoots really fast, he's a peacekeeper.
Yes, exactly.
Great.
The lore is growing.
So far, there is peace between our peoples on this map. I mean, okay, there's been a little bit of skirmishing, I guess. But those Mavericks that ran in, I mean, they were just loose cannons. They did not represent the Terran civilization. Oh,
the sentence
same for that Vagrant.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the Wraith is going to get in here and see the Stargate before he gets shot down unceremoniously. So
that is pretty good.
Yeah, nice.
Did he look at it, do you think?
I'm not sure. I mean, he wouldn't have had detection, but he'll see the Stargate in the background, right? And so, like when he pans over that base, if he pans over that base, I will say Green Eggs. I've seen this pattern play out with a couple of our Terran players, where they have this big army, but they kind of just vacillate across the map a little bit, and move their army and wiggle, and just like leave them on a right click somewhere on an attack move order.
Well, you have to avoid engaging in too narrow an area, because not only is it lots of small units of bio, he's got so many Hurricanes, right? So any surface area is really going to favor Terran, especially against the Cantors. Now, that said, there is no universe in which you can attack into these like a Cantors just sitting around here. So SmrtyCakes is totally safe defensively, but there's not that much mobility.
There's a Crucible being added to power a lot of this production, including 2 Grand Libraries coming up next to it. So that's going to be in the main for SmrtyCakes. And, I'm guessing we're going to see some Amaranths or some such.
I assume the Grand Libraries are still totally honorable, right? They're just, the regular guys.
Yeah. That's like the more impressive gateway, right? And like the culmination there is the Ancestral Archives. So you get like these tiers of honorable Protoss and tiers of dishonorable ones.
Got made. If Tectons got made, it's going to be a total slaughter. Honestly, Cantavis alone would be pretty deadly here. They're quite good against Hurricanes, of course, because they have to run in through the storms and what have you. Again, these are Cantors I'm just keeping an eye on that, they're not going anywhere fast, but wherever he has to fight them, it's going to be a real problem. Oh, Gorgons, though. They'll be quite good against that if they can get close enough to snipe them. Now, the Vagrants, of course, don't have any splash for anti-air, but they just have really good DPS. They will gun down Gorgons so fast.
Yeah, I'm not sure who actually... I think by volume, you'll look at Green Eggs with an army size of 150 and with a 50-plus worker lead. I think that would have been Myriad. I believe he reported that later on. I see no hash. Green Eggs has his eyes on the prize. But looking at the way that this one went, I'm just paying attention to the army count, really, and I'm thinking, yeah, sure, SmrtyCakes could take a really nice fight, but they're kind of just wobbling around a little bit. They're not really making a decided factor any which way.
Well, you look at the count, though, but how many of that count is Mavericks and Hurricanes, right? Compared to Vagrants. I mean, okay, look, the Hurricanes are very deadly, don't get me wrong, but they do have to get to the enemy, and if you put, 30 Vagrants, or whatever insane number this is, together, I don't think the Hurricanes will really get to touch them, especially with the Cantors. No, I think the only way Green Eggs wins a fight is if he catches him out of position.
Well, it's a fair point, because I didn't realize that we were talking about having 51 Hurricanes on the field right now, and so if you sub that out, it becomes a bit more of an...
Whoa, hang on a second. Did those Vagrants just walk up through there? Or
up where?
No, never mind. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Look, normally if you told me that one player has 51 Hurricanes, I'd be betting on that player. But I think Green Eggs' composition is pretty competent against Hurricanes here.
Well, he's going to go ahead and Green Eggs is definitely scouting around here. Smarty is finally going to be able to put that ant seal down. Oh, when I say but it bounces out, heading the other direction, threading the needle.
Yeah, he makes it.
Fourth base is up and running for Smarty. He did cap a gas. It looks like he capped all 3 geysers in his first round. He's going to now cap the 4th as I say that. So clearly map hacking, and listening
the
to
Protoss is marching, but these Cantors is going to take so long to get across the map. He's really careful. Although, if Terran just stays here, they will get absolutely crushed because they're in a really tight location.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, you need that surface area, and I think you pointed it out. You've got to kind of think like a Zerg, which is something I keep saying in these casts. You've got to think, how can I get the maximum possible surface area? Ideally, what I want to see is if he has 3 groups, one on the left, one on the right, one in the middle, and they just collapse in at the right moment. But look at this. The Cantors, they're not that slow. They're getting there.
They are. They're trying to bring up the rear there. We got some charlatans here as well for the maximum splash.
Look, this is going to be a massacre one way or the other. No, I don't see it, man. I think Terran's going to absolutely destroy it here. That's it. The Cantors are out without any support. The Vegas have to come back.
No, this is a concave for the Terran. Look at the way that SmrtyCakes is trying to fall upon the position. He's completely abandoned his flank, and oh man, those land effects are completely destroyed immediately. Holy shit, indeed, Myriad. However, there's a lot of splash damage, just completely erases all of those air units, and we still have plenty of bio to chew through.
Like I was saying, those Hurricanes aren't really going to get close, and we can see the count is already diminishing so much. Green Eggs is just running straight into the concave, and look how many scarabs are coming out. This is insane. I guess they're not even called scarabs anymore. No chance, man. Totally crushed.
Yeah, where were the Eidolons in that fight is a question for the ages. A couple of them had gone down. These land effects reclaimed. They're going to get sniped out before they can really do much of anything. And what does Green Eggs have in reserve? It feels like Smarty's just found the force to crush.
Yeah. And Myriad Colors leaves.
He's out. He can't bear the sight of this water anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. This Vagrant's just crushing.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is that I think the Acantors really just annihilated everything. There's so many of them.
Well, again, he was just coming in at like the perfect straight line against a concave. That's all there is to it, really. Yeah. When you're using the fast weak units like Bio, you gotta get the engagement, and he just kind of moved in a line, and that's what's gonna happen to you. And look at this, the Apostles just prolonging the pain.
Yes, that's right.
Oh.
Hey, I did see 2 Heracles get attacks off before dying, so they're a good unit. Oh, here's another one. So. Here it is. Hey, he gets an attack off. I'm so proud.
Let's see how this one goes.
No, those ones were on move command. Doesn't count.
Get him.
The rally is being sat on top of, so.
He had 51 Hurricanes, right?
Yes.
If he dropped those from Trojans, would he have won the fight?
I think the answer is no, but if he had dropped them in the main base, that would have been a different one. So GG is going to be called, and SmrtyCakes will take it. It was a bit unceremonious the way that we had the whole just hang out for a while and charge on forward, but damn, I mean, at least a thumbnail-worthy battle at the end, so you had that.
Well, I appreciate that both players really focused on their macro there, and they kept their money down pretty well for a while. So, they were doing good stuff. It's not very interactive stuff. Like, I think Green Eggs is right that the Incantors crushed him, but you don't necessarily need different units. You just have to think about how engagements work, and
I think so.
Do everything you can.
I feel like a run-by, a harassment, that's kind of the next level I'm waiting Green Eggs to have, because he's had these games versus Benno, versus Scholar, versus 3Crow, versus some of these players that he's played against, where he's kind of gone for this more sort of like death blobby, sort of like single concentrated force. And that can work, but in a situation where your opponent is trying to take steps to counter your composition, they're not going to be able to be losing in a heads-up fight. And that's what we saw demonstrated with this particular case, where, if you sit back and camp long enough, well, Green Eggs will find a way to build the Anvils and the Morning Stars. See the 3Crow cast for that one. Obviously, if you're going to be like this and it's just a blob versus blob fight, well, the better blob is going to win. So think about how to leverage the compositional strength of your stuff, I think, is probably that's the main thing I would take away from that game is, I think he has more to show than just that. He's just got to think about the adaptation. I don't know if you have any other thoughts along those lines.
Well, Green Eggs is macroing strong. You just got to get the other aspects of the game, because he spent 7,000 more resources than SmrtyCakes did there.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I felt like he had harvested more resources. He had that 4th base up for a decent amount of time, so that's definitely a case of saying, if you could allocate that into a more cost-efficient setup, that would be one thing. I'm kind of surprised he made combat air units. I thought he was a bio guy through and through, but...
see, there's a little bio guy inside the Gorgon, so it's still okay.
Yes, okay. But what about the Phalanx? Can we get Phalanxes out? Because that would have helped him massively.
Well, look, in Brood War, it's a quote-unquote biological unit according to spawn broodlings, so...
Yeah, I don't understand that at all, but okay. I guess it burrows through the steel to get at the pilot. At which point, why couldn't it just burrow through like the robotics to get at the robotics? I don't really know why there's a distinction.
Well, see, the broodlings are hungry. They only do it if there's anything to eat.
Yeah, I see. Then they lose motivation and just decide to waste away to nothingness. And that's why you can't target them. Okay, gotcha.
Well, the queen doesn't want to send her children down. She's like, no.
There's no meal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I will say, Neblime, I'm excited to see both of these guys duke it out a little bit more actively, and
they'll be in the gauntlet, right?
Yeah,
tell them they have to be.
They are contractually obligated, just like a Maverick, to storm through the gauntlet and see what they can do. It would be Green Eggs' first time. It would be SmrtyCakes' second time. He wasn't in there for the Acropolis Gauntlet, but he did show up for the Ascension 7 one. So for Acropolis 2, let's see if we can see either of these guys, play themselves into form. I could at least see them getting into the second or third round of that sort of bracket. So I'd like to see them give it a shot, if nothing else. But hey, we've got a lot of people who are going to be trying to go through that gauntlet. Think about players like Hit 'em Up and stuff who've just sort of rocked up. So I don't know. I'm excited for that one, but I'm always excited for tournaments. You know how I am. That's going to do it, I think. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts for our boys before we depart.
I mean, convict v convict, no one wins.
Yes, that's true. Very topical. All right, GG's.